Hello, YouTube modeling community. This is Rusty Rotor, and as you can tell from the previous video, I'm wearing the same clothes. Wonder why that is. This video is made shortly after the other one. Hats backwards, just so I know in my file which video is which. Or I'll get all discombobulated and confused. Now that said, we can put it back right. Well, it's Friday. It's been a productive week. Well, productive and unproductive. We are still trying to work out kinks in a 3D printer. What we did was we bought a new build plate. I did check my old one and found that it was more cupped than warped and cupped. So, it was a little aha moment. Well, let's price it. It wasn't cheap and it wasn't super expensive either in the scheme of things. And I have gotten a few decent prints, but the decent prints have also come, it's multiple items, so some of it didn't print, some of it's deformed, kind of getting the same problems. So now I'm still kind of at a loss. I just wish I knew more about it, understood the principles of how the machine works, and if it's not doing this, then you need to do this, or this or that, and to correct the issue. And I've tried to find somebody close to me. I just not a hermit, but I only socialize in a certain circle, and most of the time it's family, and a few friends, and none of them are into this, so it's kind of hard. I've got a few friends, including the club president, my club president, that is starting to get into 3D printing, but he's not going to be able to help me. He's clueless too, so it's one of those things that I'll just keep kind of poking along at, try to print what I can print. Yesterday I printed a set of wheels. They all printed perfect except for one wheel, so I got a mismatched set of wheels. I'll have to print another set the way it's formatted right now, just to get that extra wheel and have a few spares, and I'll have an extra set of tires as well. So that's not a big deal. Then the second print I did, it was a lot of different little figures that I've had files for a couple years, that are for our garage diorama, along with Gastronites and this one, and some for Ghostbusters, because they all can get painted different for each diorama. I pulled it off the thing. I was like, oh, a great print. It printed perfect. And as I start taking them off the build plate and I get them cleaned and I'm looking at them, I'm like, here we go. Two of them can be fixed immediately. One, a little arm broke, and that's because I took the support off and it broke the little arm off. That's no big deal. The other one, the back of the head, it's separated during the print, but it printed fully, so I can put that. I already test fitted it. I can put that back on, put a little putty in there, and sand it, and it'll be fine. The other ones, I think it's a good enough print. I'm going to try to use like the sculpted clay, the air dry clay, whatever, and make one. The leg didn't print all the way. The other one, the arms didn't print all the way. They're flat. The rest of the details there, so I just got to add in the arms. So, try not to waste nothing. I think I can make it work. So we'll try. If not, it's not a big deal. I'll shift them around on the build plate the next time in different positions, and we'll try that. We're trying to hone down. Maybe it is a lighting issue from the machine, and in that case it'd be a motherboard. So we're just we're doing trial and error right now. So please don't hit me up for anything. I would love to be able to do it, but I can't print anything and say yes, and then and honestly take your money, and it's just not it's not there yet. But hopefully one day we will get it there. If not, it's just a big paperweight sitting there. It's not really helping me at all. So we did that. Jay is coming tomorrow to get his cutlass. So we've got it, the final polish and clean done on it. It's ready to go for him to come and get it. The Pro Street group build, I haven't put the glass in yet, and I may get to some of that today. If not, first of the week, we will get to that. And we will progress and get her all wrapped up. The diorama, we did get quite a bit done, and we're going to take a look at that. The side project, we're comfortable right now, kind of just leaving it where it's at. I've got it mocked up for you so you can kind of get a good look how it looks and where it's at. I got a few. I think I'm going to have to do a little wet sanding, not much. A little polish out, not much. It looks really good the way it is, and for what it is and what it's going to be. Is it is it a show winner? I doubt it, but crazier things have happened. I'm super happy the way everything, the paint leveled, the clear leveled. There's very little orange peel. That's why I said there's going to be very little sanding, very little polishing on this. A little bit on the roof, especially towards the back. A little bit on the hood. The trunk deck, I think, is okay. We got one little spot on the trunk deck. So I think we're golden. It is a very cool looking model. I'd love for it to be on my shelf, but it's not. It's going to my niece and her boyfriend, and it'll sit on their shelf or whatever they're going to set it on. Hopefully they set it on something that doesn't get broken. Key points I ask myself at this point before I do final assembly: is it show worthy? Does it have flaws in it? Yes. Is it a point where I can correct those flaws and make it show worthy, or it's just going to be eye candy, up on a shelf? This is one of those. It's kind of on the fence. Is there? Sorry, guys, I got something sticking out of my finger here. There we go. Had a little splinter sticking out of my finger. Didn't you know it? Anyways, so I kind of assess everything and evaluate it, and knowing where I need to go from this point. It's very clean to this point. Does it have flaws? Yes, it has flaws. Nothing major, that just kind of disappoints you in the whole build. Nothing to that degree. It's just it's got some flaws that it can happen to anybody, and it's not a big deal. Is it a real nice looking model? Yes, it's very nice. So, without further ado, let's take a look at it and we'll talk about it. So here we go. One, I was talking to old Tom the other day, and this bare metal foil I found, it was a lot thicker. I do not like it, especially after now that I've got it on there. It doesn't smooth out the same. It doesn't, it's super sticky. It lays really nice, and it will conform, but the problem is it doesn't smooth out. Now, we are magnified through the camera here looking at it. So, you know, by the bare naked eye, you don't see that as much, but you do see it a little bit. So that's one point. Can I fix this? No. At this point, I cannot fix this. I cannot. Maybe somebody else could, but I cannot. The orange peel, how bad is it? Well, we are up there super close, and you can see how smooth that paint is. It's very minimal. We got a little bit of junk back here on this stripe. Not junk, but something happened. Let's put it that way. Oops. On the hood, right back here, and there is a little more orange peel on the hood. And you can see on the back of the thing there, you can see there, that's a good shot of it, the orange peel. The clear coat was heavy, that's probably why. It did level out. It was a lot worse before I put it in the old incubator. And we got a little, I don't know if it's going to show up. That's, nope, that was just a piece of flocking. So where's that? So yeah, we got a little, we'll sand this down and polish it out, which will get rid of a good portion of that. Trying to get my hood prop. Hold on a second, guys. Look at some Zippo lighter fluid. Alright. But we got her blocked up. Tires and wheels look great. Calipers and rotors look great. Big brakes in the back, little brakes in the front. Decals, although they looked amazing on the sheet, they were not that amazing applying them, and it could just be me not ruling that out of the equation. We still got to go back in and dull coat all the black. It's not supposed to be shiny. You look down in there, you can see the carpet in the trunk. So we will dull coat this down a little bit. And underneath the trunk, you can see there we got quite a bit of orange peel in there, so we'll sand that out. On the main body, it actually looks really good. Our stripes came out good. We got our chrome around the bezels. We just got to get our taillights in, get the gas cap on it, our rear bumper on. This side, you can see the difference. That's bare metal foil here, and it lays a lot smoother. And then we use the thicker stuff here, and you can see it's chunkier, I guess would be the term to use. But down the sides of the body, paint's really smooth. No issues. Front, same way. We got to dull coat the chin spoiler down, and I've got to reattach it over here on this side. It came loose. No big deal. We got our support for the hood support. We've got that chromed. It looks okay. We're trying to decide if we're going to matte out the engine compartment or leave it the body color. I'm really torn right now, so I don't know. I may just leave it body color and go with it that way. But we got our hood support all clear coated. It's protected now. You guys can see the offset in the bend. There is a hole. We're not in it, but there's a hole up here for that pin to go in when it's for display. The ride height is perfect. We weren't going for a slammed. We did drop the front. The front wouldn't sit that low. It's set up higher. So we got the stance really nice. You guys can see right there. It's got a little rake to it. Not much. We put a slight turn on this wheel. I like that for display. Kind of looks like it's, you know. Now we just got to come back with our panel line wash. We'll have to get that cleaned up. We'll get our final polish and wax done first. Start getting all of our chrome on, our windows in. And we're, you know, at this point we're downhill to final assembly. So the normal process I would go through. So we may or may not see this at Acme. Don't know. I mean, it's good enough to put on the table, but is it going to be an award winner of any kind or get pictures taken? Probably not. And it's just one hunk of plastic more that I have to carry to a show. Other shows, yeah, I would take it. You know, is what it is. Once it's sanded down and it's polished back, it'll look a lot better. But everything else worked really well. What we were trying to achieve, the clearance for the tires and the wheels worked. Very minimal effort there. The assembly of the suspension, very easy. Tires and wheels, very easy. The little mods we made by opening up the hood scoop, making the hood prop, those were just bonuses. I just added to the whole thing. Opening the trunk. This kit, the trunk does open. It's not that I went through and opened it. You can see. You got to remove this panel out of here and then clean it all up, and you got to make a hinge. And it doesn't give you a hinge in the kit because the trunk jack just sits on it. But I wanted it to hinge, so we hinged it, and it turned out really nice. We got mirrors to put on this too. Got to get all our headlights and fog lights in, front bumper, license plate, our parking lights. So, you know, we got a lot of little doodads to put on and put in there, and it won't be hard to do. So we're comfortable waiting a little while on this. We'll probably get the Pro Street done first. While we're working on this one too, we can hold on the Diorama, which we're going to take a look at right now, and get us over here. And you notice how the it's not foggy looking in here. They say, well, what happened? What changed? Now, if you know, you tell me. Let me set you back here a little bit. I don't need to be that close to my mug. I don't know what it is, guys. Some days I come down in here, it's just the way the lighting is. I always clean my lenses on the camera. I do all that. It's a crapshoot. So, first we'll go over a few things that came in. One is a brush cleaner. If you guys, you don't have to be an artist, even though what we do is art, to use this kind of stuff. If you value your paintbrushes, this is a great thing to have. And I've just constantly forgot. I know I need it. I'm like, I got to get it. You know, I've ruined a bunch of brushes not having it. Now that I have it, I got to go through the ones I do have and try to clean them up and see if I can restore them a little bit, especially my favorite ones. But it's just like a soap bar in here. You get your brush wet and then you just flip it around on there. You don't smash it or anything like that or gouge it. You just flip the brush around on it. Really good. And then rinse out in water. You know, repeat it. And then you wipe off the surface of the soap. It's kind of like you do if you're traveling. And then I have this. They are on all these social media platforms. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. US Art Supplies, Brush Cleaner, and Restorer. Now, I've used it. This was like, I don't know, between $7 and $10, 16 ounces. Put it in a cup just to test it, see if it dehydrates or evaporates real quick, and it does not. That's the same amount. Same amount I put in there yesterday, and what I just spilled. Now, does this product work? Hell yeah, it works. It works really good. You can literally see the paint and the chunks and garbage come out of your brush just by switching it around in there. You just don't smash your brush. Just whip it around in there quite a bit. Wipe it across the paper towel. Roll it. Keep the shape of the brush. And then if you still see paint on the paper towel, keep going until there's no paint. then your brush is cleaned and it's restored, and it works very well. So I would promote them. So if you're curious, there it is, guys. Pause it, scan it, go check them out. I got this on Amazon. There may be another way you can get it too, but if you're not an Amazon Prime member, it's worth it. Every penny of it. And I tested it on brushes that are years old and that I thought I've gotten good and clean, and realized no, I had not got them good and clean because I pulled all kinds of junk out of them. So, great product. Does what it says it does. It's very affordable, and it's something you should have in your arsenal. Especially, I guess, using, we use enamels, lacquers, acrylics, craft paints, all that stuff, and it works on all of them. So get you some, get your brushes clean, take a day and go through and clean all your brushes really good, and restore them. Little tech tip, I guess, pro tip, whatever you want to call it. You'll get these little tubes that are on your paintbrushes. Keep them. Don't throw them away. Put them in a little baggie, put them in a drawer or something, label them so you know what they are. But if you don't use certain brushes very often, and they had these on them, or even if they didn't have these on them, put one on them. It does help keep particles that would statically attract to them, like from static electricity. And then you think nothing about it. You grab a paintbrush, dip down the paint. Well, you got junk in your paint now, and you're going to get it on whatever you're painting. So I always keep these on there as much as possible. And then I always dip it in some water, slosh it around, drag it across the paper towel before I even use it, just to make sure I've gotten all the dirt and debris that attract to the brush out of it. So there's your pro tip. What else did we get in? We got some stuff coming in today. I got another one of these coming in today. Now, these are by Citadel, which, Citadel, if you're watching, I would love to be sponsored by one of these wargaming paint companies. I integrate them into all my builds. It doesn't matter if it's a car, truck, or a diorama. I still use this stuff. And it's just, like I said in the beginning, it's how far do you want to take your hobby? What, you just want to build them right out of the box and put them on your shelf? That's one thing. Like I said, I had a good friend. Well, it was my dad's good friend, but he was a friend of mine too. That built models straight out of the box. And back then, he had a lot of promos. That was right when promos were converting over into models. So he built them just right out of the box. He didn't paint them or anything. He glued it together, and it went up on a display case. So they all looked like promos, even though they were a lot of them were models. And back then, you remember, guys, the screw bottom ones and the promos, they all rolled. So they were, I played with them. He let me play with them. I don't know why he did. I don't remember I broke any. I might have. But anyways, depending on what route you're going to go with your hobby, you eventually will come across, maybe you want to put a figure with your truck or your car just for a display because you've seen somebody else do it. These are contrast paints. So contrast is kind of like a wash. These are very thin down. You can thin them down even more. They're meant to build up layers, thin layers, just like you would do with an airbrush. These can be shot through an airbrush. And there's, I don't know, a zillion of these. Every paint company, Vallejo, Citadel, the Army Painter, all these companies all have a contrast paint of some sort. But I guess in the world of tabletop gaming, kind of like with Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons, these were super popular, and they still are. So I picked, I don't know, I think six colors and I'm still waiting on, I think, 2. So we've got, oh, this is a shade. You know, it's contrast. Is that a shade too? Yeah, shade. They all say shade. Oh no, this says contrast and shade. So yeah, there's shade, there's contrast, and there's something else. Can't remember. Anyways, they're all like washes, regardless. They're thin. You can thin them down even more, but they give you your highlights and your lowlights. There's Nuln oil. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. That's kind of like a Tamiya panel line, but it's a lot thinned down even more. It really brings out the depths of your model, whether it's a figure or whatever. This would be good to use on an interior because it's not as heavy as the black wash. It'd pull out your creases and crevices. And on your figures, on the hair. To give you an example, I used the Nuln oil on her hair. And you can see it's got a little bit of a shiny, so you'd mat it back down. But it pulls out all the dark, like in between the strands of hair, the little crevices. It pulls that out and makes it pop. It's hard to see on camera. I don't have the best camera for this. It looks a little splotchy there in that picture, but it's not. It's just the way my camera is picking it up. This is one I did 3D print. I got to go back through and I got some on her face somehow. I got to clean that up. She's already been matte sprayed, so it's underneath is protected. I just got to get that cleaned off. But I did it on her skirt. It really pulled out the creases and crevices on her skirt. Now, like I said, in person, this looks really, really good. Other than a little splotch on her face. But there, you know, I'm going to be a lot more into the figure painting, the miniatures. That's the artist side of me trying to pull me away from a hobby into a different hobby. But I'm standing firm, and we're going to kind of combine not so much minis to models, but paint lines. Some stuff I got is just for the miniature stuff. Some stuff I got is just for model cars. But you can use this stuff on the model. It's not that you can't, because you can. I've used this already on cars. I went back through a couple cars and used a different thing, and it worked great. It's just on how you want the look to be and all that. So we got those in. The colors are Reichland Flesh Shade, so for skin tones. Gilliman Flesh, again, flesh says it all. It's a darker tone, so not being racist here in any ways, but this little boy is black, and we're going to tone him down. We've got our dark shade in now, and that was the Gilliman Flesh or the, can't remember. Reichland Flesh Shade. So it made him turn dark. So he's a little black boy, but he's not going to be this dark on the finished product. But you can see by using the contrast paints, I get it to focus here, how it pulls and gets down into the little crevices and makes those areas darker. So you don't have to worry about getting in there with darker shades of paint to paint those low lights, when that's what that does. Now I will start layering it down with other flesh tones, and then I'll finish off with the Gilliman's Flesh, and that'll put some of that dark tone back, and it'll show depth and perception of the structure of the face and contours of the arm, the highlights, and all that by using other flesh tones like flat flesh and what's this other one here? I got basic skin tone, buff. Between those and mix them together, I will be able to really bring his skin tone out. He'll be a lighter shade of brown, hopefully by the time I'm done, or he'll go from being black to white. Because I'm not the best at painting these little things. but I really enjoy it. It's very, like, I like jazz and bluegrass and the blues. Kind of, and then I relevate out. I do like some rap, old school rap more than new school. Some of the hip hop. It's the beat that really gets me, not the lyrics so much. Rock and roll, you old school rock, new school, alternative. I kind of like a lot of everything, and I like Bach, Beethoven, symphony music. Not sympathy, but symphony type style music also. Some opera, the music, it draws you in. That's what it's about. So I'm very diverse on my music. So I'll put some of that on and I start painting. Next thing I know, it's 4, 5, 6 hours later. And I've had fun. I did something. I have something to show for it. And I can't complain about that. What else did we get in? Oh. So we got 6 jars of this. This wasn't real expensive either. But it gives you quite a bit. This is static grass. I don't have a static grass applicator, nor do I want to DIY one. And there's plenty of videos out there on how to do it. And I figure by the time I go buy all the stuff I need to DIY it, because I don't have it, buying a cheap one is cheaper. The $20-25 for a static grass applicator. If you don't have any of the stuff to make it, it's going to cost you that to go buy it. So why not just buy it? But I've got 6 of these different shades, so I can make little patches of grass. I can make trees, whatever. I have it. It's going to come in handy because instead of buying trees, we're going to try to actually make some trees by using some of that stuff. We got some books in. Like I said, I told you I'm building up a library. War Gaming Miniature Painting Guide. Very informative. I've read a few pages. There's not a lot of pictures, but there's a few. And it shows you step by step how to go about approaching them and how to get really good results. This was the first book we got in, Miniature Painting. This is more for actually canvas type painting. But we got it, and it's very informative on shadowing, shading, that technique. This takes it a little step further. This does have color pictures. So if you're painting, miniatures or busts, or, you scale them up to, I don't know, 1/12, 1/18 scale, and you're painting figures, kind of just get in the size of weirdos, and that's your thing. This book really gets in depth on how to start, how to put your layers in to add that depth. Just like this devil right here, whatever it is, demon, poking his own eyes out. All that shadowing and shading. If you're a nude, you're into doing nudes, and there's nothing wrong with that, guys. Don't get offended by the word nude. It is art. I've sat in on 2 or 3 art sessions where we had a live nude model, 2 females and a male. Yeah, there's a little giggling and pointing and this, that, and the other. But once the maturity kicks back in, you start sketching, and then you start painting. It's super informative. And any time you decide, hey, I'm bored working on a model car, somebody gave me this statue, this figure, I want to paint it. Well, start researching your paints if you don't have them. There's oil paints, guys. I have these. Let me get to these. They're little tubes. You can get a cheap set of oil paints. These you want to put on a piece of cardboard. That way it absorbs the oil out of them. And then you can thin down the paints using white spirits or mineral spirits, paint thinner, mineral spirits, lighter fluid. Lighter fluid doesn't work as well in this case. The mineral spirits or white spirits, either one. And then you can thin them down. You can create washes. They work very, very well. Very well, even on cars and trucks. And having multiple colors helps on your interior. So if you got like a light blue interior and you want the shadow areas to be darker, you make a little bit of a wash, get the shade you want, and you'll have the wash and it'll really pop. Second technique is you can create washes out of pastel chalks. You can also use these for their properties as they are, a powdery consistency. You just scrape some powder off, use a brush, and put it on your tires to make it look like it's gone through dirt. Apply it to the body so there's dirt up on the body. Or you can break this down and create a pile and add a few drops of lighter fluid and a little bit more of this and create a wash. It'll liquefy this and create a wash that way also. Just be mindful when you're doing those kind of things that each step, so when you're done, you want to put a matte varnish over this before you do any washes or add a different type of paint. So like going from acrylic to an enamel or enamel to lacquer, you want to protect the underlayers. So it's always important when you're done for the day, just hit it with a coat of matte varnish, dip them whatever you prefer, and then the next day when you come back to start the next layering effects, he or she will be protected. Army Painter makes a finish product. It's in a can. I don't think the can's probably much bigger than this. But when you're done, you would dip the figure in it and slosh it around a little bit and then let it dry 24 to 48 hours. And then it protects your overall finish. So that's a good thing to do. I use a craft spray. It's aerosol can, rattle can. When I'm all done completely, I give it the same finish. Now, if there's areas that should be shiny, I come back in with a little brush and add a gloss varnish to that to shine it back up, or satin, whatever it may be. But most of the time, they're all matte, a matte finish. So we got books. Like I said, we're trying to build that library. This is all reference material for me. Whether I'm painting a car, I've never done rusty and crusty on a vehicle or really anything. Some dioramas in the past, but so it's time to hone my skill. And the best way to hone your skill is reference material. It's hard to keep stuff up on your phone because your phone times out, and then you got to come back and click on it when you're trying to look at something. So if it's something really important, I'll send it to the printer and I'll print out a picture. That way I have the picture here in front of me. I'll tape it up on something so I can constantly look at it. Or in this case, if it's like shadowing or shading and I'm kind of not happy with what's going on, I can pop open the book, turn to that section, and I can start reading and looking again and see what I did wrong or what I'm doing right, and then go from there. So it's key. And I'm just one that having all this stuff is awesome. It's a good feeling to know that if I pick a project and from start to finish that I have really everything I need in my arsenal. Information, be it books or magazines or what I have stored on my phone or laptop, what's in here, what other people help me with, tell me, give me tips and tricks along the way. All that stuff it's priceless in your arsenal. The next is the proper tools. You can start off super cheap. You don't have to have the best high dollar, nippers. These little things I think were like $3. I use them all the time. I do file the edge and give it sharpen it back up. You can do that if you're very careful, or take them to somebody that can sharpen them. It'd be better. And I have $100 pair. Snap-on made them. They're lifetime guarantee on them. I don't use them as often because I find myself just grabbing these to cut wire. balsa wood, plastic, whatever it may be. And you know, I don't want to screw up $100 pair of them. I use this for the cutting off the sprue and cleaning the edge off, and so they're, you know, they all have a design, and there is different designs. There's hook shaped like that. There's flat. There's strong jaws where they're made for heavier cutting. A good cheap, go to Harbor Freight. A good small little pair of dikes like this, even though these are snap-on. A good little pair of dikes will do the same thing. You know, you don't want to cut it so close that you cut into the item. You cut a little of that sprue off with it, and then you file it off and sand it down, or take a little hobby saw and saw it away, and then sand it down. So, you know, a cheap little pair of these, just because these are snap-on, don't mean shit. They're good, but they're not the best. I've struggled cutting things with these, but these are for technical stuff like electronics. But they work great in the modeling thing. Another good, just a little pair of pliers. These got teeth on them, so I can really grab hold of something if I need to, a wire, and stretch it out, or if I'm heating up sprue and stretching the sprue to scratch make an antenna, or fix a piece of something, whatever. These work great. I can get really a good bite on it so it doesn't slip out of my fingers, and pull and stretch it. It's got cutters on it. I can cut whatever. Clamps, guys. A bag of 99-cent clothesline pins work really well. They don't work for everything. These little bad boys you can get at Harbor Freight, these work great for almost everything I do. Put a piece of sprue in there. I can use this to hold on to it and airbrush it, or brush paint it. Doesn't matter. Or if it's something flat, I can clamp on. These are strong, so you got to be careful what you clamp onto to hold it till the glue dries. They make other clamps that work really well too. You know, it's all, you can start off super, super cheap without investing a lot of money. Same way with paintbrushes. And then save your money for those. That's all the bowling on the budget, is working with what you have, but achieving that higher quality look. And, you know, a lot of people shun at these paints. Oh, I wouldn't use that. I only use Splash. Well, you're a moron. That's all I can say. You're a one-way thinking moron. Because these little 99-cent, some of them are cheaper than that, jars of craft paint work so good that it would blow your mind. Yes, they're thin. You squirt them out and you're like, oh, I got 15 coats of paint on here. You're better off putting 15 coats of paint to achieve the finish you're looking for than spending $6.50 or $7.50 for a jar of Splash paints and still probably have to do 2 coats. 15 is an exaggeration, guys. It takes 5 or 6 coats of this thin down to brush it on. Airbrush it, you thin it down. AK works great with this. Thin it down, put it in your airbrush, and airbrush it. 2 or 3 coats, and you're done. Then you put a varnish over top of this to protect it so it doesn't scratch or peel off. Same way, you apply this as acrylics or other acrylics and enamels. You want to prime your surface and then sand that surface a little bit to tooth it up for the paint to adhere to it. You can paint your bodies with this stuff. This opens up a whole different world of color choices for you to paint a body for very, very little money. You can thin this stuff with washer fluid, what you put in your car's pissers to clean your windshield. I mix up a little of that washer fluid with a little flow improver, and then this to thin my paint down, and I'll airbrush this and do a body with it. I can go buy 7 bottles of this for what I pay for 1 jar of Splash, and I can paint 3 times as many bodies out of this as I can out of a jar of Splash. It's all in what you put yourself to, and test it. Don't just go right away, buy 6 bottles of this and start spray painting your bodies. You still got to sand your body. You still got to prep it. You still got to prime it. You got to wet sand that primer. This should be mixed up to a milky consistency. So you take a toothpick and drag it up the side of the cup, your mixing cup. It should run down and look like milk, not molasses or honey. Know that it dries quicker, so it's going to atomize faster out of your airbrush. So keep a fresh thing of water by your air booth and a Q-tip, and then clean your tip of your airbrush every so often, and you won't splatter and spit. This stuff, once it's dry, you can use 3000 and up to sand. You don't want to hit this with 1500, it'll pull the paint right off. 3000 and up, you're golden. So there's another little tip. If you guys have seen other people use it, or if you used it in the past, you know. It is an alternative if you're on a tight budget of having a vast color. I mean, here guys, look. Decor art. Metallic. Look at that color. It is absolutely beautiful. I bought this. It's not open yet for that specific purpose. This will get put on a car. It's got that anodized look. This was intended for that 41 Willys, by the way. And I found Createx and did it that way. But this is already that way. And then, guess what? 2K clear can go over top of this. And if you're not comfortable and you're scared to do it, get you some Createx clear. It's a water-based clear. The UV protection, they come in bottles this size. It's not real expensive at all. Put one coat on, another coat, until you get that gloss look you're looking for. Or if you want to be old school, dip it in the floor polish. I've done that method too. Lowrider guys, can't shake a stick at this. This is tropical glitz, just in acrylic form. They got hundreds of different shades of this stuff, and you can still use your same techniques with lace or stencils and back spray. You know, tape everything off and use this stuff. The only difference is it's a little longer period of time. But if you got a dehydrator, you can cure your paint quicker. It's not going to hurt to put a matte varnish over it and continue with your next colors. You'll lock these colors in and protect them. If you're watching a lot of Dr. Cranky, he paints a lot with acrylic paints, craft paints, and he'll tell you when you're done with one color, hit it with a matte varnish. Lock these colors in. You can lay colors over top of it after that and not have any difference in paint finish. So, watch videos. There's thousands of techniques out there on how to use these cheap craft paints, and they work very well. One more, and we're going to get off here. Well, we got to look at the diorama. But Vallejo makes Model Air. These are airbrush ready. I would still thin them down a little bit more. Not much, but a little bit more. This is a set that's called Rust Effects. They give you a pamphlet in there. It tells you step by step how to do it. Which paint to start with, how to layer, how to chip, and do your chipping effects. And you can have a rusted, crusty look. And I did it on that little roof, and it blew me away. I was like, holy crap, just follow the instructions. It's not the best looking little roof, gals, but it looks really good for the first time you're doing it. So they're tried and true. And if you just wanted to paint a car this color, there's your color. With clear over it, it's going to look really good. This stuff you can 2K over. I know you can with Vallejo. I have small areas with this, but I'm one of those that's literally like, I just spend all that time and work. I'll use the Createx. Here's a pro tip for you guys. Paint your body. Figure this out, how to mix it down, how to spray it through your airbrush, get a good 3 or 4 coats on your model. Get you a jar of Createx. Let's say semi-gloss or satin, I think it is. And put that satin on there. let that Createx gas out, dry 100%. Sand that down with 3000. Do all your body work then. Clean it, then wash it off, dry it, then hit it with 2K. You can 2K over clear, or over the Createx. This I know. And that's how I do it, guys. If I paint a body in this, I'll clear it with the Createx. And I have 3 or 4 different types of Createx. I have high gloss, I have gloss, matte, and satin. I'll usually use a satin. And then after it's done, I'll sand it down, get it smooth, tooth it up. Then I hit it with 2K. And I get that high gloss. So there's ways around the high dollar stuff. I spent $65 on clear coat. Now, that clear will last me forever. The reducer, I'll have to buy more reducer. It's probably 2 bottles of reducer for 1 quart of clear. That's okay. But that's the way to do it, and do it cheap. We'll have more on that at another time. But just to give you an idea, don't be scared of these paints, because they're very, very useful. And when you're looking for certain colors, my best friend, so I can breathe. It's imperative to start testing and working with other paints. You know, for $1, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, wherever you go, craft paints, Apple Barrel, like I said before, Deco Art. There's some cheaper versions. Craft Smart, these are really cheap. This is a really good brand, Ceramic Coat. I have a lot of theirs. Deco Art. Here's another one's Pearl Metallics. I have several that are metallic in that shape. Folk Art. A lot of these, you know, and they range from 39 cents up to a couple dollars. Generally, they're no more than $2 or $3. So, it's still worth buying. Get you a huge arsenal of craft paints. Once a month, once every other month, go through and tap them out, shake them up, just like any other paint. It keeps it mixed good. Get you a little paint shaker. And try it, guys, really. I call it the Earl Shide paint job. It's 99 cents. I painted this model. I mean, it breaks out to more than that, but, you know, if I wanted this color, which is burnt orange, I could paint that car burnt orange using this, thin it down. I have this, so I would use this versus the washer fluid and a flow improver. I would still use a flow improver with this. Keep my tip clean. Get my body painted. I'd put it in the dehydrator overnight. I come back the next day. Then I can sand it down, wash it, clean it. Then I can come in and hit it with my Createx Clear. That takes several products to mix together. And, you know, get those products, and I'll clear coat that out, and then I'll dehydrate it again, and sand it, and then I'll hit it with 2K. And then I can do my final polishing and sanding and get a beautiful paint job. Now you may say, well, that's a lot of work. Well, yeah. Well, do you want to spend hundreds of dollars and get the paint job that maybe takes a day or two? That it should take about a week. Or spend a few dollars and get the same results and do it in maybe a week and a half. I'll do it in a week and a half, guys, every day, all day long. I like my splash paints. I like my gravity and the you know, tropical blitz. I love it because it's easy and they're premium. You shake it up, you pour it in your airbrush, you sand, sand, you're done, right? Well, no, you still gotta come back and do your final sand if you didn't get nothing in it, and you don't have to restrip it, and then you gotta clear coat it, and then the problems you have with that, it's a mess. So, Cecilia the Villain. We'll finish it up here. We got our base coat on all of our stones that are on. We still have to finish stoning this building, as you can see. But I wanted some back shadowing in here because there will be, you know, gaps here and there, and it's easier now to do it. But we got it done. We still got to get our stonework painted. The base coat, I think we started here. We just got to finish it up and then black wash it. Then we'll dry brush it to bring out the highlights of the concrete. And once we get all these stoned and the base coat on it, guys, this is where the technical stuff comes in. I got to scratch build all the shutters, all the doors, all the windows. It's going to be very time consuming. So we'll be kind of held up on all this. As time prevails, I'll take each section and we'll get the wash on it. We'll get the all the, any moss or dirt and grime on it, and then we'll be done with it. Other than adding the detail. The red building, we got our bricks painted. We did different colors. This still will get a finish. Like I'll be using the chalks, and then I'll put powder up on there, get it down into the cracks. We will use lighter fluid to kind of thin that down, make it into a wash where it'll go down in the crevices, and we'll lighten our mortar joints up a little bit. We've got our final on the stucco done, the way I want it to look. Our wood has been washed, and we got a look we want. That old, aged walnut and oak and what other color we got here? It's back here hiding from me. That's oak. We got walnut. We got some other stuff. We got teak. I've got. Get these. These are expensive, but they last a long time. Little stain markers. This is dark walnut, which we already have. I've got another dark walnut. Golden oak. Just we got red cherry, whatever you want to call it. And those are from when I was in carpentry and we did cabinetry work and stuff like that, so you could touch up any little flaws. But when I worked on RVs and campers, we touch up the cabinetry inside. They were good for balsa wood and stuff like that to get that shade of wood you're wanting. So it's another little tool in the arsenal. So we got that. Now we got to get this building stoned. And then this building, we got it all stoned. We got our base color on, and we've started building our pergola. And you can see, we got our braces. These are big old, like 8x8 timbers, all supportive. Look down, they're all in line. It's all level. Look down there, you can see it's flat. No side is higher than the other. We clipped our ends here. Now, this comes from my experience of building houses and decks and stuff like that, so I know what to kind of do, but anybody can do this. And this is all stained at dark walnut. We got to finish putting our ribs on the rest of the way, and we're going to have this will all be covered in vines with flowers on it, hanging down over it, and it'll be really pretty. There's shutters. Since they added the pergola, the shutters don't lay flat against the stone wall here or here, so they'll kind of be at an angle. These will be flat. We got to build our window sills and then get our windows in. We'll have to do all of our highlight painting, our washes, on all this also. And then Ernest is making the handrail, so I got to send him these measurements now that I got them. So we'll have a handrail in between here, here, and back to here, and one in the center separating the two decks. That's two separate units. So, we got to get those into him, and then those will get put in. Those will be like a black wrought iron look on there, but it's coming along. Looks really nice. So when you look down there, you can see they're nice and straight. I mean, that's stout. Now it's dried. The update. I'm rambling about other stuff. We need to get off here. This glue I was telling you about, it works amazing. Super tight bond. Dries clear. It dries fairly quickly, so just work in small amounts so you don't waste it. But you get this at Hobby Lobby, Crafter's Pick. I always tell you guys when I buy something I've never used it before, I'll let you know how it performs. Was it worth the $5.49? Oh, yes, it was. That stuff dried within 10 minutes. Putting these on. These were dry within 10 minutes. Where I could fiddle fart around with it and everything else. So, if you're looking for a good alternative to PVA glue, this is like $6 or $7. Look at the size. It's 3 times the amount, 4 times the amount for less money. All on the budget. Perfect example. This is great. Don't take nothing away from it. I use some of this on that also, just to compare the two. Dries just as fast. Bonds just as tight. Clear finish. Can't say nothing bad about this. AK's got a great product here. Balling on a budget. Same results. Same time, fashion. Same everything. $2 to $3 cheaper. 2 to 3 times more. You do the math on that. So, that's it, guys. Believe it or not, I'm not down here every single day, all day long. So this is about 3 days worth of work and about 5 hours each day. So 15 hours. I got all that done. A couple prints done. Jay's polished and waxed, ready for him to go. We got the Mustang cleared. We got it mocked up right now. Everything has been cleared, varnished. We just got to do our wires on the engine, get our engine in, drive shaft, start assembling the interior, and putting the final touches on it. That's final assembly. Pro Street is a little less than final assembly, but we're ready to put the glass in it. Then we can do a mock-up and see if we clear now or if I got to do more adjustment on the roll cage. And then we can get to the final assembly on the Pro Street. So, hope you guys like all this. Don Corleone. I got the stand-up version, too. I'm going to incorporate a few older people. Oh, and by the way, my pivotal piece, real quick, for this diorama was the guys playing checkers. Well, I ordered this too, thinking, well, this is great. This saves me time. It's got manhole covers. It's got fire hydrants, a trash can, a mailbox, telephone booth, some benches. I'm going to have everything I need. Didn't realize it's O scale when we need G scale. So if you're doing anything diorama related, remember G scale is the same as 1/25th scale. They even compare it back and forth. If you look at it, it'll say G scale, 1/25th scale. Even the figures, I've already cued it to 1/25th scale. They're perfect. So I know, even in buildings and everything else, a lot of the files I have are G scale files I found on Colts that will work for not only Model Railroad, but for our diorama for the gas station. But this has to go back because it's too small. The other one is the same, which was the chess players and the chessboard and the old hound dog. The G-scale version of it was like $12 more. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just work with the figures I have and what Ernest makes me. And I'll make my own barrel, my own checkerboard. And we'll go from there and make our own. So till then, guys, the big set of paints will be here today. 1 or 2 more of these washes. I think that's all I got. I think I got 5 or 6 of them. And then that's what we'll be using them for, is washes. The low lights. A little contrast too. But the big paint is a big Army painter set. It's speed paints. That's for my Space Marines for Warhammer and other figures I want to do. And we'll talk about that when that comes in. We'll look at it, go over it. So until then, guys, you have a blessed weekend. A safe weekend. Hopefully you get some modeling in. This video is long, I know, but it was quite a bit to cover. I'd rather do that in one video than a bunch of videos and ramble on and burn up time. I ramble enough. So, till then, guys, this is Rusty Rotor. I'm out.